Spring is here, which means it's time for some spring cleaning, and Hugh Freeze is cleaning up his roster. Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for giving us one of your first listens of every day. Joining me as he does every single week is my good friend Kyle Rush from the barn, purveyor of all things Auburn, Auburn insider extraordinaire. Kyle, the portal's open. The portal's busy. Auburn has had a flurry of pickups. We're going to talk about what that means for this roster here in our second half. But I want to start with getting your assessment of the spring. You and I have not got a chance to talk about the biggest movers this spring. Now, we had a segment, and I talked about Deuce Knight and why I felt like he was one of the biggest movers this spring. If you want to be Auburn's next quarterback, he had to pick things up really, really quickly. Before we move on from Deuce, I want to get your thoughts on his performance this spring, nearly not throwing an interception until 8A, essentially. And he suddenly looked like a freshman. But he had a great spring by all accounts.
What better way to get to move your way up when you're only one of two quarterbacks, like when you're one of the only two quarterbacks that could play. I keep talking about how big of a blessing. I was thinking about it even before the spring kicked off about how I think this thing could end up being a huge bonus for Auburn. If you think Deuce has what it takes to be the guy of the future, what better way, man, than just to give him as many possible reps with twos, with ones. He got a lot of reps with the ones towards the end of spring. I mean, what better way to do it than just throwing him in the fire early in spring? And it turned out that he was ready for the challenge. Like you said, he rarely turned the ball over. I don't think he turned the ball over at all until maybe the last, 3 practices. He threw a couple interceptions, and then he threw a couple in 8A. But one of them was in pass skelly where you're throwing every play and they know you got to throw it. So take from that whatever you will. I think the big key is this guy's way further ahead than we expected. Still think Jackson's the guy, but Deuce is showing that he could be the quarterback of the future. And I think I'm with you. He was definitely one of, if you had to pick 3 or 4 top winners, Deuce getting all that experience, I think has to be up there towards the top.
He just didn't have time to waste. We saw what happened with Walker White. And I think Walker is extremely and immensely talented, but the reports were it wasn't clicking for him. He wasn't picking things up. He wasn't coming along fast enough to climb that depth chart. And in the portal era where they're going to be going to the portal looking for that next guy, you got to give them a reason to not look at the portal for the next guy. And Deuce seems to be giving Hugh Freeze that reason, is he not?
No, I completely agree with you. You can't just wait anymore. You're beyond the grace period of wait and develop. Like it's win now. From henceforth, it's win now. And I think every team is sort of looking at that. Hey, I need to find the players to be able to win now. So Deuce is kind of showing them, hey, when it's time to win now with me, I'm going to be ready to go. And I'm excited for him. He's got all the tools to be special, and I think he's shown a lot of flashes during spring of why that's true.
Kyle, moving on from Deuce Knight, we talk about, again, the biggest movers this spring. A name that continuously popped up as a playmaker was Sam Turner.
Yes.
Now, in characterizing Auburn's wide receiver room, it is stacked with talent. Terry Thompson had a great 8A. Oh, my goodness. He made every kind of catch you could hope for. That's a guy I think a lot of Auburn fans hope don't fall down the list of names in terms of stars, top 30 guy there coming in out of high school. But I have a little bit of caution about Sam Turner. Now, this young man has played well this spring. We heard a lot of great things about Sam Jackson last spring. And he is a talented guy, but I just didn't feel like he was going to meaningfully crack the rotation at Auburn and be an impact player. I think you and I can agree. I don't think he was here. That's no shade to him. But if what do fans do with players like Sam Turner? Is there a realistic path to significant playing time for Sam Turner in a wide receiver room who, depending on how much 10 or 11 personnel we run, I don't know if there's enough snaps to go around.
I know, man, and that's the biggest challenge we've been talking about, like who comes off the field if one of these talented other guys wants to have snaps. You got to have either A, more wide receivers in the formation, or B, you have to have like a rotation of guys. I think the big thing Sam Turner had probably over, maybe a Sam Jackson as far as being able to take that step early and kind of live up to the hype is that he's a wide receiver. He's not really spent time doing anything other, than playing wide receiver. So I know Sam Jackson played a little wide receiver in high school, then spent a bunch of time at quarterback. So that was always going to be a long shot. But I mean, I've never heard a bad word about this kid. Every practice, it seemed like Sam Turner.
Yeah.
I don't know that I do remember some hype around Sam Jackson, but I don't remember a lot of I don't remember the veracity of the, I guess the hype around Sam Jackson that I've heard around Sam Turner.
I think that Zach thought Sam Jackson was going to, I want to say he said Sam Jackson was going to be Auburn's second leading receiver. Like, don't quote me on that one. It may have been Robert Lewis. But certainly a lot of people loved Sam Jackson. And, the
Robert Lewis too, that's another good one.
Yeah.
I mean, another one that got a lot of hype.
Just a lot that didn't really turn into anything. If you're Hugh Freeze, you cannot afford, I think, to not play your top 50 guys. You've said over and over again that the way to build this thing is from high school. You've gone out and you've got all these dynamic high school classes, and now you've got to let those guys shine, especially now that they're in their second year. This has to be the Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons, Bryce Cain show, right? Doesn't it?
Well, I mean, are you just going to not get Eric Singleton Jr. the ball? I mean, he's probably one of the more electric playmakers in college football. So it'd be hard not to go get somebody like that and then get them the ball. Now, if you want to argue like a Perry Thompson and Sam Turner getting snaps over like a Horatio Fields, like I'll have that conversation. I think his production remains to be seen, and I don't think. I don't know. I don't know this for a fact, but I don't feel like he can do a whole lot different than, maybe a Perry Thompson can do, or, maybe even a Sam Turner. But I mean, your top guys, you're going to have Cam Coleman out there. You're going to have Malcolm Simmons out there a bunch. So, I mean, those are high school guys that you brought in. I don't really know where Bryce Cain fits into this equation at this point in time. He may still be a year away, but it's a tough ask. It's a tough ask. I mean, I think you try to put the best players out on the field, period. And whatever happens, just kind of happens. And I know we're rooting for Perry. Symbolically, we want him to perform just from a symbolism standpoint. Hey, we stole a guy out of Foley from Alabama, and he's a 5-star, and we want him to be good. So symbolically, you want him to do well, but at the same time, you got to put the best players out there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is such a good conversation and a problem to have.
Yeah.
If you're Hugh Freeze. And, quite honestly, we're blessed to be able to have these conversations about what is really an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver. It feels like not too long ago, we were talking about how Auburn didn't have pass catchers and nobody can catch. Everybody's dropping everything, and we're leading the league in drops. And now, I mean, what a difference a couple of years makes. Now, I think personally, Hugh Freeze has done a good job trying to stack the deck around the quarterback. He came in talking about having pass catchers with catch radius in this league. He's recruited that way in the past, and certainly he's continued that philosophy in terms of making sure he goes out and gets guys that can go out and just flat out make plays. That's what we saw Perry Thompson do on A-Day. Dive for the ball, fades, every kind of catch he had to make, he made on a day. I think he's going to do that on Saturdays. And then you bring in a guy like Sam Turner, and it's just there's no drop off from the 1 to the 3. It feels like right now.
No, I totally agree. I was talking about this the other day too, and this is not really changing gears, but sort of the same thing. How cool is it? This is what you hear from like Georgia and Alabama when you have a DB room that's so awesome, and then you get to couple it with going up against a wide receiver room that's so awesome. Like you're going to play some games, and I swear some of the defensive backs are going to be like, where these receivers that we're guarding have to be in like they're like slow motion. You know what I mean? Like we're getting better on both sides of the ball, and that's when you know you're kind of moving in the right direction. You're getting closer to being at that. Hey, we can compete with some of the best, and like rooms like our defensive back room and rooms like our wide receiver room are what makes, to me, programs like Auburn, when you're trying to get there, that's what helps you get there that much faster. I just think Auburn's in a really good spot roster wise, especially those two rooms.
Yeah, it's fantastic what they've been able to do, certainly. But look, the work is not done. Auburn has to continue to make strides. We're going to talk about some of the things they've done in this second portal period right after a quick word from our friends at the Vibe Vault. If you're in the Phoenix City, Columbus area, you're looking for a fresh cut, visit our friends at the Vibe Vault, lifestyle consultants over there. My guy Steve Watkins, serving the community by keeping us all looking fresh. You can visit them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite I in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College on Highway 431 and right next to the Renfro's and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault, great place to go get a haircut. Please go check them out. Also, segment is brought to you by our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. So if you were stressed out watching the NCAA tournament, the NBA playoffs is on, your girl is just nagging you, Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Drown it all out with our friends at the Rogue Shop. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. And last but certainly not least, our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Spring is here. We were out on the grill for Easter, making memories with the family. Now is the time to be outside, work out, grill out, chill out with our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Let's get back into the segment. Look, Auburn has made some moves here. We got a flurry of commitments and transfers, some kids from Maryland. Kyle, quickly, which stands out to you? Are there any standouts here in this flurry of commitments that Hugh Freeze has gotten here in the second portal period?
I'll tell you what stands out to me about this spring portal, and it's not so much a singular player. Mm-hmm. It's that we finally have a portal period that you're going into that you don't have to find starters. Like, how good does that feel? Like, you're not going into a portal period trying to find a playmaker. Like, I got to find a starter at a position. You didn't have to do that at all in this spring portal period. You're going and finding guys to help fill out depth roles. And I think that's just that in and of itself is the story of the spring portal. Now, they've gone out and done their best with what you have to sell. How hard is it to sell a guy coming and playing in a backup role, like without a guaranteed spot in the portal when these guys are leaving to try to find more playing time? Typically, it's tough, but you go and you add Jay Hardy, which is the perfect addition to that defensive line room. You need somebody that you don't necessarily have to depend on being a starter, but can back up and take some snaps away, so you don't have to just throw your true freshman in there for anything they're not ready for. And then you add James Ash from Florida, I guess Florida A&M, FAMU, who I'd love to have a talk with you about how you feel about our defensive line room as a whole and how it fits, a 3-4 versus a 4-3. Maybe that's a conversation for another day. But another guy that you don't necessarily have to have play in a starting role. I love it. And then obviously you got the Caleb Wheatland, the linebacker from Maryland. Like, would you ever have thought, Mike, would you have ever thought you would have been able to get a guy who's played almost 1,000 snaps in college?
He's played a
Only
lot.
had P5 or P4, whatever you want to call it now. And he's been in college. He's only got 1 year left. So, like, he's only got 1 year left. He's played nearly 1,000 snaps, and he's coming into Auburn and not necessarily guaranteed a starting role. And I'll be honest, I don't know that he wins the starting role. I think Robert Woodyard probably beats him out. I think Robert Woodyard's probably a little bit more athletic. He's just got that experience that pulls the whole room up, I think. Hey, I may not be as quite as athletic, but I don't have to think. I just react because I played football for so long. I looked it up, by the way. He had 5 tackles against us in that bowl game and a sack. So he's been around. He's been around a minute.
So painful. Such a painful memory.
But that's a good ad. That's a big addition. So I don't know how you finish this thing off because you didn't really need a lot.
Yeah, I think that the statement that you made for the first time in a long time in the second portal period, you are not going to the portal looking for starters.
No,
you are just filling out the roster, looking for some diamonds in the rough, looking for some guys who you hope can contribute. And I think, it's probably more useful defensively because DJ Durkin is going to rotate a ton of guys. And so when you talk about Wheatland, some of those guys that they're bringing on the defensive side of the ball, I do think that there's a bigger opportunity there for the defensive guys in the second portal period to come in and make an impact and finish off their careers here or rejuvenate their careers if that's what they're looking to do. The portal is such a finicky thing. And but Hugh Freeze has been clear that he feels like the portal is not the way to build a program.
Correct.
So
this is the fruits of that, though. So you've built it to the point where now we're going to the portal to fill out non-starting roles. Like, obviously, you had to get some starters in December, but now you're sort of, okay, we got the roster set. Now maybe we can start looking at the portal from a plug and play scenario, like just fill a hole, not necessarily go build a whole new squad.
Yeah.
And I think that's a story. That's a huge storyline.
Yeah, credit to Hugh Freeze. Look, man, they brought this man here, I think, primarily because of his recruiting prowess, understanding what messages resonate with recruits, and clearly that messaging is still working. But when you pair that with the resources that he now has to recruit because of the changes that are happening with NIL, the results of it are what we're seeing. Auburn has become a premier destination for premier talent to land and develop. And if you can show the results on the field in year 3, because year 3 has become critical. Make no mistake, this is a critical year for Hugh Freeze and his staff. You can springboard the program forward into an age of unprecedented prosperity, especially with a 12-team playoff. And
this schedule, to me, like I'm thinking about it, the more I think about it, the schedule this year is awesome. Like, you got to make it happen this year, because think about next year. You're going to pick up Texas. You're going to pick up LSU. Woo. You're going to pick up Ole Miss. Woo. You're going to pick up all those. You're going to pick up those schools on top of playing Georgia and Alabama, I guess, away. So you're going to pick up all those schools and play those two guys on the road. So you got to make it happen this year. You just got to make it happen. And I think you're sort of got your ducks in a row to be able to make a little bit of a run. And you're right. Any type of success, it does feel like Auburn is like right there on the edge. And if you could just show the wins on the field, just show some, I guess, look like you're moving in the right direction, it does feel like Auburn could explode in a good way. So I may just be booging, but I'm excited about this roster.
Nothing wrong with a little boog in the off season. I think that there's a lot to boog about.
In April.
Auburn has done a fantastic job. Media Days is coming in July. It's in Atlanta this year. We'll be here to talk about it. It'll be interesting to see which players make the trip. Tells us a lot about the leaders that will have developed over summer workouts, certainly. But we're going to be here to cover every single bit of it. Kyle Rush, thank you for joining me, man. Before we get out here, as always, tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. Subscribe to thebarnauburn.com. Take $25 off your annual membership. That's where we'll be talking recruiting, talking the transfer portal for the very short period of time that's going to be left open. And anytime get set up for the football season. Like, come on in and have some fun.
Yeah, great place to have conversations, guys. Thank you so much for giving us a listen today. That's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. Signing off, and as always, War Eagle.